Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EV Geek Podcast. We are your hosts, Joel and Sebastian. And today we are ringing in the new year with the new year comes a host of new electric vehicles. On today's episode, we'll be sharing with you some of the EVs we're most excited to see come to the market in the coming year. And each year, the number of EV options for consumers just grows and grows. And there's always something to be charged up about. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, welcome back, everyone. And you probably noticed that we have a little new intro there for you. Shout out to Sebastian for kicking off the new year with a new intro. Really like that, Sebastian. All right, so we have 6 EVs that we're going to talk about on our list here today. We just picked some ones that we're excited about coming to the market, and these are ones we kind of for sure are coming to the market this year. Some are already semi-released, but these are the ones we're kind of looking forward to. So we're going to start up first with the Cadillac Optic. So we recently got to drive a Cadillac Lyriq a couple of days ago, and we're very, very impressed with it. So this is kind of like a smaller version. Well, not much of a smaller, but a step down from the Lyriq. So really excited about this one. Kind of looks like the Lyriq a little bit. So with this one, it's like I said, it's going to slot below the Lyriq. It's going to arrive late 2024. I don't think we've seen many on the lots yet. It's a dual motor, all-wheel drive powertrain. It's going to have 300 horsepower and 354 pounds of torque. It's coming with an 85 kilowatt-hour battery, which is shared with the Lyriq, and Cadillac estimates around 300 miles of range, which on the website here it's saying 302 miles of range. So it's got that 33-inch curved screen, which we really like about the Lyriq. It's that one solid screen that goes the whole way around, and it's curved. And it has buttons. It has a screen, so it has a mixture of everything. And pricing is probably going to start around $5,400 on the website here. It says $52,895, but you got to figure in, delivery and all that fun stuff. So, what are you excited about with this car, Sebastian?
Yeah, so just real quick, I don't believe the 85 kilowatt hour pack is shared with the Lyriq, because I think if I remember right, the Lyriq was 102 kilowatt hours, but it is shared with like the Blazer and the Equinox.
Gotcha.
And I'm just excited to kind of see a more luxury version of the Equinox, because you and I both really liked the Equinox quite a bit. And so to have maybe a vehicle that takes the Equinox and it just brings it that Cadillac flourish, I'm just excited to see it. Especially, it's going to start at $52,000, which honestly isn't that bad if it is truly, just a luxury Equinox type deal, right?
Yep.
Because the Equinox, gets up to into like 45, 46 on the top end. And so then to be able to take just a little step further and get a luxury version of it, like that doesn't seem like an awful price to me.
Yep. And looking at some of these pictures here, I kind of like some things they've done with the display here. I mean, I'm looking here on kind of like on the screen here on the right side where the steering wheel is, you can kind of shows you you're changing lanes. I don't remember doing that in the Lyriq. Do you?
It did.
Oh, it did? Okay, I guess I didn't see it. I really like that. It's really cool. So I guess I wasn't hovering over your shoulder to look at that. So yeah, I mean, this car just looks very impressive. I mean, very luxurious. And it's like you said, it's the luxury model of the Equinox. So excited. Cadillac's got a lot of cars coming out this year. They got the Optic, they got the Escalade EV, and they got, what's the other one? The cream of the crop. The Vistic coming out. So yeah, Cadillac.
And there's also the Celestiq.
The Celestiq, yes. They like that Q at the end there. So
yeah, they do.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about this. Excited about GM is just keeps on releasing new cars to the market. So that is something to be really excited about. What do you have next on your list, Sebastian?
Yeah, so my first one I listed was the Ram 1500 Rev, R-E-V. I don't know how Stellantis wants me to say it, but I'm going to say Rev. Anyway, so I'm mainly excited this for a couple reasons. A, on paper, it seems pretty solid. And B, I'm just excited to see what Stellantis does, because they've kind of gotten off to a rocky EV start, at least in North America. But so Ram is expected to launch their all-new, all-electric Ram 1500 Rev sometime early 2025. Now, this has already been pushed back. It was supposed to come out at the end of 2024, and now it's sometime early in 2025. But when it does launch, it is supposed to have two battery sizes, One is a mere 168 kilowatt hours. I tried to keep a straight face, man.
Yep.
And then the other larger pack is a whopping 229 kilowatt hour.
Yeah, we're up in Silverado area now.
Now, I'm not sure if that's 229 usable, 229 gross, but it's still a gigantic battery. RAM is also expecting for the large battery to get 500 miles of range, which is kind of that magic number that we keep hearing automakers throw around. But I think with 229 kilowatt hours of battery, it might actually be possible.
Yep.
The REV is also expected to use a 800 volt class architecture, which I believe it'll be the first Stellantis vehicle to do that. And RAM is currently expecting a 350 kilowatt peak charge rate, and they're not publishing any 10 to 80 times yet, but they have shared that at a capable charger, it will add 110 miles in 10 minutes, which doesn't sound terrible.
Nope.
It still leads to probably a little bit of a longer charge stop, but at the same time, gigantic battery.
Yeah, you're looking at still 30 minutes probably, so yeah.
It's shaped like a brick.
Yep.
All that. But yeah, I'm just kind of excited about this because when you look at the interior, it just looks like a Ram truck's interior, which is not a bad thing. Ram has always, or at least and the most recent generations, has made some pretty nice looking, nice feeling materials. And so looking at the interior on this, it doesn't look that much different. It's like the Lightning, right? The Lightning is just an electric F1. It's not just an electric F-150. There's actually a lot of different differences under the hood. But when you get into it, it just feels like an electric F-150, right?
Yep.
And so I'm kind of excited to see Ram do their same take on it, because the electric Silverado really doesn't have anything in common with the gas Silverado. Nope. Right? It's a ground up different EV, different chassis, everything else. And so it'll be cool to kind of see the same interior layout as a normal Ram truck and a very similar exterior. There's a couple obvious things that tell you, oh, it's an EV, the whole not having a grill and all that. But really, just going down the road, especially from the back end, it's going to look just like a Ram truck, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily scream in your face that it's an EV. And so I'm just kind of excited to see how that actually goes whenever it does enter the market. And I'm curious to know how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, because it's probably going to be close. With a battery pack that size, you think it's got to be close to $100,000. Because you're talking Silverado EV. So it looks like someone at Stellantis said, "Hey, listen, let's take something like the F-150, which looks like a truck, with the battery technology and the battery capability and storage of a Silverado. Let's put the two together and get a vehicle." That's kind of what they did here. So if you're looking at the Ram 1500 Rev, it looks like a truck, but under the hood, looking at the batteries and motors, it's more like a Silverado. It's going to get the big range and all that. So yeah, I hope they don't delay this again. Stellantis kind of disappointed us with their Charger. Mm-hmm. So, with the reviews we're hearing on that, it was like, it's not really a muscle car and it's not really an EV. So hopefully they don't say this is not really a truck and it's not really an EV either. But I'm hopeful, because my last ICE vehicle was a Ram 1500 pickup and I loved it. There's nothing, I didn't hate it and trade it in because I hated it. It was a really nice truck. The inside was nice. No problems with that. Loved the vertical display. All that. It was a really nice truck. So hopefully they can take some of that technology and move it over into their EVs. All right, next on my list is one that we have talked about here. Let me get the screen, get ready to pull it up here, is the Hyundai Ioniq 9. So we have done previous episodes about the Ioniq 9 coming out and how Kia's just like, and Hyundai and Kia, just kind of like killing it right now with their EVs. So we have the Hyundai Ioniq 9, and as it says on the screen here, it will be assembled in the USA. So what does that mean, Sebastian?
Tax credit. As long as it sticks around.
As long as it's still around, yeah. So, and if you're interested about tax credits, things like that, please check with your dealers and things like that. Because like I said, we don't know how long these are going to last for with the new administration coming in. So, but we are excited about the Ioniq 9. 215 horsepower, single motor base model will be complemented by an all-wheel drive and more performance-focused model. Of course, that magic number of 300 miles of driving range is what they're aiming for on a 110.3 kilowatt-hour battery pack, with charging from 10 to 80% in 24 minutes. So very similar to what we see with the EV9, correct?
Same quoted 10 to 80 time, bigger battery pack, and it does this because it's a higher voltage, so it has a higher peak speed.
More aerodynamic than the EV9, though. We would assume.
Probably, yeah.
We would
It
assume.
looks a little swoopier.
Looks like a gravity, if you ask me. But I digress. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, I love everything that Kia and Hyundai are doing with their vehicles, especially Hyundai. I kind of like how the designs are. We've got a chance to review, almost all of them except for the 5N. And we really like it. I mean, there's just people. This is the last group, trucks and 3-row SUVs is the last group of people we got to win over for electric vehicles. Those are the holdouts. Those who want a 3-row SUV and want to travel from one side of the country to another, and those who want trucks to haul stuff in, or just to have a truck to say you want to haul stuff in but never do. So these are the last two holdouts. So another one coming to the market. This will make probably 4 because you'll have the EV9, you'll have the EX90, and then you'll have the Rivian, and then you'll have this. So these are kind of like the staples of 3-row SUVs. Lucid Gravity, is that 3-row or not? I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So you have Lucid Gravity coming in the picture now too. So you're seeing more and more of these options for 3-row electric SUVs. Great styling, comfort-wise is great. So yeah, I'm really excited about the Ioniq 9. We should start seeing those hitting lots here pretty soon.
Yeah, and speaking of 3-row SUVs that kind of look like a minivan,
which is
the
true.
Lucid Gravity. I mean, I'm still not 100% sold on the way it looks. We saw that one in Austin, and it was okay.
Let me pull it up on the screen here for you. So
I didn't hate it.
Yep.
I'll give you a second before I keep going.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't hate the way it looked, when we saw at Electrify Expo, but at the same time, it's not necessarily my cup of tea. To me, it looks like a minivan, which is not a bad thing. But if you're going to call it an SUV, then it needs to look like an SUV, or just really lean into that it looks like a minivan, give it a sliding door, and just own it, right? But nonetheless, this is still an impressive vehicle. It takes everything that was good about the Lucid Air and then turns it up a little bit and then puts it in a 3-row vehicle, form factor. It's got dual motor, all-wheel drive. Lucid is claiming 450 miles of range. It's a slightly bigger pack than what you find on the Lucid Air. It should charge well, blah, 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 blah. Deliveries are supposed to kick off really the first half of 2025. There were a handful delivered at the end of 2024 in a special ceremony, so they could say it launched in 2024, but the bulk of the actual first deliveries will be in 2025. Now, the first model on sale is the Grand Touring, which is $96,500.
But
however,
that does compete with the EX90 though. If you're thinking that upper scale 3-row SUV, those two compete with each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
However, for the second half of 2025, there is supposed to be the Touring model, which will start at $81,550.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, I don't have any. I love the way the Lucids look on the inside. They have great material quality. They drive well. All of that is great. The only thing on this one that kind of holds me up a little bit is the exterior styling. But at the same time, I can get over a lot of that for just if it is genuinely a good car. And so I'm excited to see as more and more people get these in their hands, how does it compare? How does it stack up against other luxury 3-rows like the R1S or, as you mentioned, the EX90? Because we just drove an EX90 and that thing was awesome.
It was awesome.
I mean, that's steep competition in my mind for a lot of these kind of luxury 3-row SUVs. And I honestly, wouldn't be shocked at all if the Lucid is better. But like, how much better, right?
Yeah. Well, up to 450 miles of range. That's a lot of range. So
it is a lot of. It's a lot more range, and that's kind of where Lucid's magic comes in. Is they manage to do super efficient motors, good, aerodynamics and all that, and so they can squeeze out every last watt and joule and whatever of energy out of these battery packs. But yeah.
So yeah, and next one is one I'm kind of looking forward to, and I'm kind of not looking forward to, and we have nothing to show on it because we don't have any pictures of it. And that, of course, is the Tesla Model Y and what they're calling the Juniper Edition. So rumor is that they could be announcing this very soon. I would assume they probably would be, considering they probably weren't too happy with their end of the year sales numbers. So they probably want to spark something to kind of get some sales up and running here. But some of the things we're going to see is kind of the same things we saw with the Model 3. kind of the reworked front end and back end with the light bar in the back. The ride comfort improvement, they got to improve the ride comfort. Oh my gosh, my Model Y, y'all. Sebastian, yesterday we were driving with the family and I sat in the back seat for an extended period of time in the Model Y. And that is not fun. That is not a fun car to sit in the back seat in. It was it was brutal. I was like, get out. Nope. Kick the kids to the back, moving up front. Not fun to be in the back seat with that stiff suspension, hitting every bump. Felt like your car was being engulfed by a huge puddle. So yeah, so hopefully, and we did notice on the Highland a very much improved ride comfort when we had a chance to review the Highland. More premium interior, and that's something Tesla needs to do because it's kind of stark. So adding that ambient lighting, adding that rear infotainment screen, adding the cold seats, and the stockless steering wheel. I hope they keep the stocks. That's just my preferential treatment, but they probably won't. But I'm sure if I got into it and start driving it, I'd get used to it. Pricing, probably not much different in pricing, around 45,000 range, anywhere from probably 280 to 290 to 340, 350 miles, and 342 to 445 horsepower. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is one I would, if they just take all of the improvements that they made to Model 3 and add it to the Model Y, it should be pretty solid. And then as long as they can do all of that without also dramatically increasing pricing.
Yeah.
You know, the new Model 3 is excellent. It's a great car. There's a reason everyone's raved about it, you know, and it's doing really well. It's because there is not a bad version of the new Model 3 currently. You know, even before they got rid of the LFP standard range pack, even that was a good car. The only reason it didn't do well in North America is because it didn't qualify for a tax credit and you could get the long range cheaper. Like every version of Model 3 currently on sale is excellent. And if they just make all of the same improvements that they did for the new Model 3 on the new Model Y, we have a winner. I don't care about this possibly having a front light bar or any of that. I just want the better suspension, cooled seats, you know, slightly nicer interior materials, banging sound system, like all those improvements. That's all I want. That's all I care about. And give me the efficiency gains that they found in the new Model 3 as well. So yeah. Also, Joel, you're not getting stocks. I'm sorry. It's not happening.
I know.
They've taken them out of the new Model 3. They're taking them out of Model S, Model X, Cybertruck. At this point, Model Y is the only one who still has stocks. It's not happening.
I want my stocks.
It ain't happening.
Then I guess my next car may not be another Model Y then. I don't know. So yeah. So we shall see.
All right. Our final one on this list for today is one I've been excited about for a while, and the future is a little shaky for it, but I'm confident that it's still going to happen, is the Volvo EX30. So the Volvo EX30 has been floating around for a little while now.
Just
pictures of it. It's been coming to market for like over a year and just hasn't quite made it yet due to various geopolitical issues. But they are allegedly hitting dealers in limited quantities currently, and there's still plans to bring them over in more mass selling, more mass market. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Don't English good. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, they are planning to do that throughout 2025, and this is a car that is intriguing to me. That said, it might be less intriguing now that they might not be able to keep it at the price they were originally kind of targeting. You know, when they at first announced the EX30, it was going to be a $35,000 car.
And as you can see at the top of my screen here, it is what now?
It says 45.
Yep.
Which I don't know if that's, you know, I think part of it is they're initially bringing over a higher trim level.
Yep.
And so that might just be part of that. I don't know. Volvo has kind of been tight-lipped on what their plannings are for the whole 100% tariff on Chinese built EV situation, which, you know, these are being built in China. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, as from what I can tell, it has done remarkably well overseas. You know, it's been on sale in the EU for a while now, and it has gotten really good reviews. It's a good looking car. Of course, I don't know that Volvo has ever made a bad looking car, but this is a good looking car. It's a small car. It's compact. It's got, you know, a 64 kilowatt hour battery pack, which by modern standards isn't huge, but as someone who drives a Chevy Bolt, it's pretty close to what I've got.
Yep.
I don't know if that 64 kilowatt hours gross or usable.
Yep.
Because I've got 60 usable, 66 gross. So, I mean, that's pretty spot on. And they're expecting 275 miles, which is, again, pretty spot on for what I have. The sizing of the vehicle is pretty spot on. Like, it's this seems like the perfect car for me if I wanted to kind of move laterally into something with more modern tech, better charging, and just looks freaking awesome.
Yes,
But
yeah. So, like you
we,
mentioned earlier, we got to drive an EX90, so we're expecting probably the same software, the Google software. And we heard a lot of rumblings. What we like to do is before we review cars, we like to get into the Facebook groups and ask some things we should be looking forward to, because we want to hear from owners about what we should look forward to. And a lot of the owners said about the software, we had no issues with the software in
yeah, I thought it was
EX90.
excellent.
Nice, snappy, no problem. It just now we were informed by the dealership that it just got a software update, so maybe that was it. But everything else, we were pretty floored with what the EX90 had to offer, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm really excited about this car if they can get it over here at a reasonable price. I don't know if the plan is to continue to build them in China, maybe find a plant in Mexico to build them at, or build them in a South Carolina plant. I've talked to people at the South Carolina plant. I don't think I don't think it's in the plans for it to be built there, because right now they're currently building the EX90 and the Polestars there at their South Carolina plant. So I don't know if I don't think right now in the near future the plan is to bring that over. So we got to see. I mean, I really want to see these on the road. I'm excited when they get here that hopefully we'll be able to get one and do a review on it. I love this cloud blue cover that I picked down here in the comments that you saw earlier. So yeah, it's a pretty solid car, and I'm really excited what Volvo has done for EVs.
Yeah, just on the software bit, I think the Volvo implementation is one of the best implementations I've seen of the actual Android Automotive so far.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've not played with it in a lot of vehicles yet. Primarily, just GM is one of the only people I can think of off the top of my head that is using Android Automotive, which I don't have any big qualms of the way GM's implemented it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Volvo implementation was one of the cleanest and smoothest we've used yet. It was super simple. There weren't 17 menus deep. It just worked. First thing you do, key up, you have your big old map at the top with your kind of quick bar of, shortcuts and everything at the bottom. It just makes sense. You can just get in and drive. There's not, your home screen is not a bunch of icons that you even have to drill down into a menu or anything like that, which I really appreciate, because I'm not one, if I can just get in and have my, that's one of the things I love. I plug in my phone, and when I get in my car, CarPlay just comes up, the map is already there. It starts playing what I was last listening to. I didn't do anything. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And that's, GM has had some kind of clunkiness issues on their software. I think it still works fine, and it's definitely way better than it used to be. GM has 100% made improvements on their implementation of Android Automotive, but you still get in and you get all the 9 icons on the screen, that you can kind of drill into, and there's multiple pages of it. There's none of that on the Volvo Android Automotive. And like you said, the EX90 hasn't been here very long, and it's already gotten multiple OTA updates. Like Volvo is actively doing stuff to fix it. The EX90 was one of the first first of these vehicles that we have driven that knows it can actually charge at Tesla superchargers.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think Lightning knows and stuff like that, but those don't run Android Automotive. Those aren't using just Google Maps. The EX90 was one of the first ones we've driven that we could go into the route planner, punch in Austin, Texas, or wherever, and it was actually coming up and showing us charge stops and showing us Electrify America, EVgo, and Tesla superchargers.
Yes. Yep.
Knowing that and it told us it would require an AX adapter, all that was fine, and it was factoring it in, and that's, it's exactly what you want an EV to do, right? And yeah, I'm just hoping for the EX30 that it can still come over here at a decent price. I've seen some stuff. I believe they might be starting to manufacture them in Belgium.
Okay.
Which maybe will help them get around some of that tariff issue. Although I don't know if they're planning to source the battery packs from somewhere else as well, because it's a very complicated, sticky, messy kind of situation. It'll be interesting to see how Volvo does it, because I ultimately think this is a car that can do very well in the US as long as the price is right.
Yeah.
And
if they could get it at the $35,000 area without the tax credit, I think it's very intriguing at the level. Even if you don't get the tax credit.
Yeah, I think even at 40 grand, it wouldn't be that bad, especially considering it's a Volvo. It should have more premium materials, whatever else. 40 grand still seems kind of like a starting point for a lot of these electric crossovers, right? We're just now getting to the point where you have Equinox at like 35 grand, right? We're just now getting that point. Machi's just now coming right under 40 grand. The BZ4X and Solterra is going to start right under 40 grand this upcoming model year. We're just now getting to the point where the crossovers are starting to fall below that price.
Yep.
And so I think if we can get the Volvo to even come over at 40, knowing that it's going to have more premium materials, good software, good tech, be ultra safe, all of that stuff, I think we'll be doing okay still for pricing. It's not 35, but I think 40 will still be okay. And this could really be the kick Volvo needs to kind of revolution or reinvent themselves as a actual major player in the EV world. Because, prior to this, they have the XC40 and the C40 Recharge, which both are fine vehicles, but they were just repurposed gas car chassis.
Yep.
They weren't ground up designed electric vehicles. And now they have the EX90, which, again, we loved. We thought it was great. I'm kind of spoiling the video. It's probably going to come out after this, but whatever. But the EX90 that we drove was also $96,000.
Yes, it was.
So it is also not going to be a mass market vehicle. I think the EX30, if they can get it to the United States for a decent price, can be the vehicle that gives Volvo an actual real mass market appeal and kind of bring them back into that household name almost, right? So yeah, I'm excited to see this actually hit our shores, and then how Volvo is actually going to deal with the geopolitical issues.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you're out looking for cars, and let's say it's 40,000, and your options are Equinox or Volvo EX30, I'm like, hey man, I can get a Volvo for the same price I can a Chevy. I'm getting a Volvo, So, and that's what maybe some people will think if they get around that price. Now, we haven't sat in it. We don't know how spacing is the back seat. I heard the back seat is tight. So I'm sure it's going to be, because it's a compact crossover. So it will be interesting to see. But yeah.
All right. So there you have it. Those are our top EVs we're looking forward to in 2025. So which EV are you guys most excited for in 2025? Drop it in the comments below, because we would love to hear from you. Joel and I probably unhealthily read every single comment that we get.
And we reply to them.
So, we see what y'all put down there, and we love to hear it. So let us know what you're really looking forward to in 2025. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification icon so you know when our new content drops. As always, we will see you again on another episode of the EV Geek Podcast. So long, everyone.